I started to fall in love with music at a very young age, probably around 4 and 5. One of my earliest memories I have is dancing in this like white tuxedo for my aunt's wedding, and it was just me and my cousins, and I just remember hearing this bass.
Hi, I'm Madeline Rosene. This is Dante Juhkel. He is a songwriter, producer, and artist, and one of my best friends, and I'm so glad to be here with him on my new vlog that doesn't have a name yet. This is our first installment, and welcome, Dante.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I've already been here before, even though it's like the first episode.
The whole point of this is that I want to tell people stories, people who I respect, people who I admire, creative people who, or music industry people who are making a difference, pursuing their dreams. So I guess, how I want to get started is if you could just tell us how you fell in love with music and, how your journey began.
Yeah, that's a great question. My journey has taken me a lot of places. LA, Jersey, Philly, Orlando, Florida. But it really started back when I would say like 4 or 5. I had this, I was a part of this wedding with my aunt, and it was crazy because I was dressed in this like white tuxedo, looking fresh as I could. As my parents could like set me up to be, you know what I mean? Didn't have a lot of creative control back then.
I mean, I love your outfit right now, but I feel like I wish you had worn a white tuxedo today.
Nah, it would have been fresh, right? But long story less long, I just remember falling in love with the feeling of bass and just not knowing what bass was at the time, but just hearing this thump and feeling like the ground shake and like music move through my body to the point where all I wanted to do for the rest of the night, I didn't want to eat, I didn't want to like hang out with my parents or anything. I just wanted to dance, and I was like doing dances that I probably seen on TV and like in the crib and whatnot. But
why aren't you on the TikTok dancing movement?
you know what? That's a great question. I would say, to keep it real, I feel like I'm afraid to put myself out there. Like, and it's funny to say that because I'm not afraid to like be on stage rapping or like singing or even dancing on stage. But when it comes to, I don't know, when it comes to looking perfect on camera and having the perfect routine type shit, it's just like I feel like that's a part of me that I'm forcing onto myself and onto people. You know what I mean? If somebody captures me in the moment and I'm doing my thing, that's a whole different story.
It's so much better like that. It takes so much emotional effort just to put yourself out there on social media. And I think also we were programmed with Instagram and Meta to make our lives look perfect, right? And now whiplash, now we have to show real life and show what we're doing, like even when our room is really ugly or whatever. And sometimes it just feels like I can't do anything right, you know?
Right.
So yeah, social media is tough.
It is. I think a lot of people get lost in the idea of who they are online.
Yes.
And who they have to be online.
Because really it should just be who you are. And people always say, how do I become TikTok famous? How do I become YouTube famous? Well, okay, you have to be doing something in real life that people care about. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, what else are you going to do on there? I guess you could talk about celebrity gossip or something, but...
And you know what? To keep it real again, I don't knock the people that go that route.
No.
Because going back to what I said, like, I don't put myself out there in like a way like, oh, here's my dancing video type, like, or here's my rant about music. Because it feels like robotic almost. Mm-hmm. But the people that are consistent with it and then have created like a whole strategy behind it, I respect that, because
Totally.
that's the same process I have when it comes to my music, when it comes to any creative endeavor I'm involved in.
I love that.
Yeah, but I kind of like sidestep your first question. But like I said, my journey starts in a lot of different places. But going back to that story, I just remember my mom pulling me off the dance floor. White tuxedo now was like covered in dirt, like
Amazing.
from like doing b-boy breakdancing moves. Like
Where was the wedding?
the wedding, it had to be. I would believe it was in Philly.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I remember going across the bridge with the family and like
my
the
God.
limousine and everything. As a child, I had so much music in my house. And
Are your parents musical?
yeah. So my mom, she did choir. She did church choir and school choir all the way throughout high school. My father, he was in band, did choir, and he was also in like a singing group. And then my older brother, he was heavy into hip hop. He was a local producer.
Cool.
He was just recording a bunch of rappers around the way in South Jersey. And that was cool. I always looked up to my big brother, so seeing him do that at a very young age as well, it was like, oh, this is something different.
We are really lucky because I also was inspired by my big brother to do music, and siblings. I mean, they're the first influencers you have, right? I wanted to be just like my big brother. You know, he taught me how to play guitar. We performed shows together. Did you guys like collaborate?
So no, that's a great question too. So when I decided to take music serious, my brother at first, I love him and I respect him and I respect his decision back then. I'm glad he did what he did. He didn't take me serious.
Okay.
I knew I had to go to him first for this like level of approval to like do it or like do it the right way.
Got it.
And he was like, nah. He's like, you're not taking.
Well, also your age gap is pretty big.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. My older brother is 14 years older than me.
Okay, yeah, that's significant.
Yeah. But like I was saying, he was like, nah. He's like, you're not gonna take this serious. And that was the fuel that I needed.
Yeah. The haters. Even if it's a brother.
Yeah, straight up. And it was like that. Because he was still doing it. He was at like the tail end of doing it, like in his career. So in my mind, as soon as he said that, I'm like, watch me do this shit and I'm going to be bigger than you.
Oh my God, that's some good fuel.
And it was that like friendly competition, that brotherly competition we always had. Because as a child, we loved playing video games. And he will whoop my ass. I can say that as transparently as I can. Like, and that's where I got that like competitive like
Drive.
for sure.
Oh yeah, that helps. I honestly think that helps kids' development. Like if they're not playing games, if you're not like playing with a sibling, it's hard.
It was crazy because I remember some days I would just be like doing everything I can, thinking of every simple way to like beat him in a video game, and it was like it wouldn't happen until like one day I would get like really lucky and and I would win and he'd be like shocked. Yeah, like how did this happen? And in those moments, that's what it's funny. Life humbled me early as a child.
Yeah.
Where I had moments where I was really sure of myself. And then I had moments where I was just put in my place. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Speaking of your childhood,
yeah.
I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this, but I know that you're adopted and your story is really incredible.
Yeah.
And I think from a spiritual level, in a way, it's kind of incredible. Like just, the fact that you're here and you made it. And you've talked to me before how you feel like your purpose is music.
And it stems from going back to what we kind of said about social media, like seeing that perfect image, right? So when I found out I was adopted, my parents were doing it in a way, they were like water dropping it.
Oh.
So I was
They were like leaving hints?
not necessarily hints. They were telling me in a way that I could receive it. So
Got
like
it.
maybe the first time I heard about it was when I was like 6.
Okay.
Second time maybe that following year.
And when you say heard about it, you mean?
So we were having a discussion. Like we were going to see a family member, and then that's when my mother and my father, I think, pulled me into the room and started to tell me in a way like as a child could once again receive it.
Yeah.
And from what I remember, my mom was super slick with it. Meaning like she broke it down, and my mom always has this way of doing that, like making tough situations seem small.
Love that.
And then, yeah, I definitely get that from her in how like my process is. But going back to my story, she's like, so I have something to tell you. Really cool. You actually have 2 mothers.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like just like that. She's like, you actually have 2 mommies.
Wow.
She's like, you have me, and then you have another lady named Mary. And I'm like, as a kid, I'm like, cool. Like,
Yeah. Well, we should also probably explain that Mary is part of your family.
Yeah, yeah. So my biological mother is my mother who raised me. They are second cousins.
Right.
From what I've been told, they weren't like super close or anything like that. But like the long story, like we would need a whole nother episode.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, my mother, she got a call. She was in a place where she really wanted another child, so it all aligned. These people that I know as mom and dad, they're still my mom and dad, but now I have another layer to that. And then throughout the years, like I said, my mother was just like telling me more and more about that story. So that's why I meant like water dropping.
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
And I think that was the healthiest way to explain that to a child.
Yes,
right?
100%.
Because I've heard stories from other people that like found out when they were like 11 or
found out on their own accidentally. Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
And my heart goes out to them because I didn't have that experience growing up. Like I had the privilege of meeting my biological mother, I think for the first time when I was 7. And it wasn't like a storybook like magical moment. It was like this person I was being introduced to was the person who gave me birth. I'm still trying to figure out what that all means.
Sure. Do you think you explore this like kind of significant part of your life in your music at all?
When I first started writing, that's a lot of what I wrote about.
Like identity?
Not necessarily identity, my family.
Yeah.
I wrote about
wow.
I wrote about being adopted. I wrote about the reason I was adopted.
Wow.
I was more, and it's funny because I felt like when I first came into like writing to music, I felt more freedom because
gosh, it gives you so much power.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, cause you don't have fans. You don't have people critiquing your writing or like you're alone in your room. You're writing these things, making up these songs that feel amazing to you in the fucking moment.
Yes.
And that was my first type of therapy. Like, and I wasn't in it. I wasn't afraid to like bare my soul out. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was really dope. Like the artists that influenced me, they were doing things like that. So in my mind, I was like, oh, if I wanted to write, I got to write about real shit.
You got to write what you know. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you still have any of those recordings?
That my parents probably do. Honestly.
That would be so great. We should like put one in the background right now.
Man, that would be
Yes.
super embarrassing.
Yes.
But nah. But yeah.
Then we can put it next to my first recording and we can compare about what's actually embarrassing. So I guess I'd love to hear about, well, actually, we should first start by saying that Dante and I have worked on a lot of projects together.
Yes, we have.
You and I met at a studio in North Hollywood.
Thanks.
When I had just kind of first moved here. I think it had been like a year maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And we met through a mutual friend at the recording studio, and we became really close. And you really helped me so much with my first album, and even just believing in me that I could do it, because you need believers when you're working on your first real project. And you gave me the time of day, and I will be forever grateful for that. And obviously, like when I met you, I recognized your talent immediately. I mean, I think when we were in the studio, like you were like rap battling someone, and then I had you over for a party, and that happened again. And it was like very clear that you were very, very talented. And I was super excited to work with you. So you should check out our tracks. Haha, quick plug.
Plug.
Blue and Good Behavior and Muse. Duh, The Kill. And I mean, obviously, you've engineered a lot of things for me too. So
it's been quite a journey going back to your opening statement. I appreciate you. Like, I say that a lot. I show that a lot.
I wasn't just fishing for the record.
No, it is what it is, man. Like, when I had the opportunity to be graced with your artistry, I was at a place where I knew I was talented. I knew I had so much to offer in the industry. But honestly, I wasn't as confident as I used to be or have been in previous sessions or previous times in my life. So when you gave me the okay to do certain things in regards to engineering, vocal producing, that helped me becoming better producer and a better artist all around.
Thank you so much. I mean, I think one of the most beautiful things that can happen between two people, two artists, is that when they grow as artists together. And I don't even know if I can think of a better example besides me and you. I mean, I really know that you've helped me grow in just so many ways, challenging me and motivating me. And just, I can see us both getting better every time we do a session together.
It's the truth. Nah, and it's those are the best people that I love to work with and have like relationships with outside of the work too. You know what I mean? Because it means so much more when it comes down to making the next project. Like, we have moments as artists and producer or artist and engineer at times where we're on the same page. Everything's just clicking.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just fluid.
And, you know, sometimes we're stuck. Okay, what do we do with this chorus or what do we do with this verse?
Right.
But you and I always wind up getting it right together.
Facts.
We just persevere and we're just like, we're going to make this good. And we just do, you know? We find a way. But I would love for you to talk about the other artists you're working with.
So I want to shout out Stella Cher Lee. She's from Southern California. Great artist, great voice, amazing creative. It was I had a lot of opportunity to like really dive deep as a producer with her project as well, even as a songwriter. The work that me and her were able to do, kind of like the work me and you've done, in different playing field, and it's just good music. You know what I mean?
She's also a really sweet human being.
For sure.
And when I met her, I was like, wait a minute, that voice comes out of you? She's so little and like adorable, and she's got this powerful, powerful voice. And I always love that. It's like that juxtaposition's so cool.
It is. It's like because it's more than meets the eye.
Yes,
Almost.
100%.
And I love running into artists that are like, I do like artists that wear their ego, and a lot of people won't admit that. Like, I do like an artist that knows they're the shit.
Yeah.
And then goes out and proves it.
Does she know she's the shit? I
yeah,
hope so.
I would believe so.
I hope so.
I
Good.
would believe so. I make it known to a lot of people that I work with, like, yo, you, in this moment, in this time, in this session right now, nobody's messing with you. Nobody's fucking with you.
Yeah. That's such an important thing to do as a producer, I feel like. And you're really good at that. You make people feel so comfortable, and make them feel like it's okay to be themselves. And when you make people feel like it's okay to be themselves, that's when they do their best work. You know, they're not afraid to try out something that might sound terrible or it might sound unbelievable. You know, they're just taking chances. Because when you give somebody the opportunity to be themselves, they're going to take chances.
For sure. And I do what I wish a lot of producers that I worked with early before I really became a producer myself would have done in sessions with me, right? Like, I've worked with some really great producers that I wouldn't be the creative I am today if it wasn't for them. And then I worked with some producers like...
You learned how to not be a producer from them.
Yeah, it's as easy as that, because they create this space where it's very transactional.
Oh, I hate that.
You know what I mean? Like, they're yes manning you to death, meaning they're just telling you whatever to get on to the next session or get you out of there.
Yeah, that's scary.
Even if your song is fucking great, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the monetary like gain for them. And I never wanted to be like that.
Right.
Like, I love what I do.
It's not just about the song, it's about the individual.
Yeah. It has to be.
I want to know, what do you look for in a song that tells you, okay, this is going to be a great project? It's not produced yet. You just heard some demo. Somebody just played it for you on guitar. Somebody just sang you something a cappella. How do you know you can make this good? You never met the person before either. It's a new artist.
There's a lot of factors that go into that. Let's talk about, is the song honest?
Oh, God, that is one of my favorite things. Yes, it has to be honest, right?
The first thing I'm looking for is honesty in a record. And meaning...
In a record or like a song?
In a song. Yeah. Like, authenticity, but like, I wanted to come from like, this is an extension of you.
Yes.
It's not necessarily... you're trying to create this extension of you. You know what I mean?
Now, how does that work in regard to people who don't write their own music?
I feel like what they bring vocally, right?
Yes.
Because if their instrument is their voice, I don't give a damn if they could read the music. You know what I mean? As long as they can execute it.
Yeah.
And execute it in a way where it feels, like I said, going back to, like, I love the term real and, like, it's so broad, but where it does feel, like, all the way, like, non-filtered, like, this is who they are. Like,
right.
This voice is coming from this person because they know themselves.
And, of course, I'm sure... you know, they have a say in what songs that they're going to record, obviously.
Yeah.
So they're not going to pick a song that they don't, you know, completely, you know, what would that word be? Oh my God. Like vibe with, but there's a better word for that they relate to, you know?
Yeah.
They pick a song that they connect with, exactly, and then that emotion can flow through them because that song then becomes an extension of them when they're performing it, right?
For sure. And I respect the artists that know their limitations too.
Yes.
Because that's another thing I'm looking for in a song too. Are you doing too much?
Yeah.
I love that. It's a love and hate with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, an artist that's doing too much, if they don't know they're doing too much,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
You know what I mean? If they can dial it back and know exactly where to dial it back, then they're the perfect artist, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's important to challenge yourself, I feel like.
It is. And going back to what I said, knowing your limitations too, I think that's a big key in having a good song. Like you're not over singing, you're not, like you said, you're not writing something that's out of your wheelhouse, out of your key, out of your range.
Yeah.
I respect that. The third thing would be it needs to have some type of musicality in it.
Right.
Whether it be in the production, instrumentation aspect of it or the vocals, like there needs to be a level of musicianship that's displayed.
Okay, yeah, you're saying something that's has value, like melodically is, kind of different, maybe musically.
Yeah.
And they have an understanding of melody and structure and or experimental.
Yeah, I think it can be a little bit of both, right? Like, I love an artist or a musician that is classically trained like the next person, right?
Sure.
But then I like someone who knows what just sounds fucking good.
Right. Yeah.
Like, regardless if they know music theory or not.
Sorry to be negative, but give me an example of when like someone's come in with a song and you're like, well there's no like there's no musical basis for this. Like, what would that look like? And does that happen often?
In my situation, not for a while.
Okay.
Like with rappers I used to work with, a lot of them come with half the verse or the verse or the idea of what they want to capture or the idea of what the instrumentation should feel or sound like.
But there's no hook or
Sometimes there's not, or sometimes they don't know what the hook is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a part of a producer's job too. It's to help navigate. It's help steer and guide the artist in a direction that they might not know where to go or they should be going.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what you're saying is like they should have some kind of idea, right?
Yeah. Like it should have an appreciation, right? Mm-hmm. And through that appreciation comes the musicianship, comes the technical aspect of what you're doing.
Right.
And if people are lacking that, it shows. It shows in the music. It shows in the song.
Yes.
And God bless them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if they want to keep pursuing it, and
but you're not one of those people who thinks, okay, everybody who does music should have to know how to play an instrument.
No.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no, because
you can absolutely know what you want musically and have a pretty good understanding of music and melody and what sounds good in terms of music and lyrics together.
Yeah.
Without, knowing theory or reading music, correct?
I think, that's a loaded question, my friend. See what you did there. Yes and no.
Okay.
I think if you truly appreciate it and love this thing called music and creating music, you're naturally going to want to learn more about it.
Yes.
You're going to want to learn either the structure or the rules of making it.
Mm-hmm.
The people that don't seek that knowledge.
Yeah, I worry about them.
Yeah, I'm like indifferent because I don't discredit them because I still believe that there's a place for them.
Yes.
And I think that place is to be around and have a team that is constantly seeking that knowledge.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but I mean, does that seem kind of puppetish to you?
Yeah, but sometimes you need Geppetto.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes we need an icon.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's just true, right? I mean, there's plenty of people who are super famous and they don't know a damn thing about music. And but they have amazing teams, right? And think about all those people on those teams who get to live their dreams because of it. You know, it is a business at the end of the day.
The music business.
Yeah.
Like, and once again, that's why I feel indifferent about it, because you don't have to go to the top school to be labeled a musician in my eyes.
Yeah. Let's talk about your influences.
Ooh.
Who did you grow up listening to and love? And and how have they influenced the music that you're making now? And who do you listen to now?
Great questions. I gotta say this a lot in interviews, but Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
For the reasons why a lot of people say Michael Jackson when being asked this question.
Is that what you were dancing to in your white suit?
Probably.
Yeah.
More than likely. I was infatuated with what he was doing as. So, all right, here, we'll start. I didn't really understand who Michael Jackson was at a young age.
Sure, okay.
So there's this movie that came out in the 90s called The Jackson 5 American Dream. If real Jackson fans, like Michael Jackson fans, know about this movie, it's dope. It stars Jason Weaver, who's a great actor. Terrence Howard's in it. Bunch of great actors today that were just coming up at that time. But long story less long, that movie portrayed Michael Jackson's while he was with the Jackson 5, and then when he went and did Thriller.
Got it.
So I remember watching this movie and I was like, oh, this is once again just what is this? Why is this kid and all these people that look like me, they're making this music and they have these fans and have these people screaming, what is that?
Yeah.
And then something about it, it sounded familiar. It sounded like I knew this sound before. So
wow.
From there I was like, okay, that's Michael Jackson. I didn't know there was an actual Michael Jackson like that, because at that time it's the 90s, so it's not the 80s version of Michael, if you get what I'm saying.
Right,
you know
totally.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in the movie, Michael looks like me.
Yeah. That's so funny.
So
oh my god, I guess I never thought about that before. Yeah.
So when I just seen this white guy, I was like, that's Michael Jackson. And then
were you disappointed?
Not necessarily. I wasn't disappointed. It was still crazy. Because I was like, okay. Because then I saw the black and white music video.
Okay.
Where he's changing and everybody in the cast is transforming into different faces, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. I was like, okay. And the whole premise of the song is cliche, it didn't matter if you're black or white. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I was like, because I always thought this guy was black anyway. So
that is so amazing.
I was like, that works.
Oh my god.
And then I fell in love. I was like, I wanted to know I knew about Jackson 5, Thriller a little bit from that movie, but I wanted to learn the ins and outs. So I asked my parents, I'm like, do you guys have any Michael Jackson CDs or anything? And my mom didn't have any. My mom wasn't a big Michael Jackson fan. She was more of Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
Teddy Pendergrass.
What about Al Green?
Al Green,
like we talked about the other day.
A lot of Al Green and gospel. So
okay.
a lot of gospel music was played in my house.
I think what our parents listened to is so influential too. In whether it's I don't want anything to do with that or I fuck with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my dad, he was playing a lot of funk and soul music. So more more Marvin Gaye, like you were saying, Al Green, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire. so it was, but as a kid, I was like, nah, that's my parents' music. I'm not that into it like that. I was like, Michael Jackson. I was like, that's mine.
Yeah.
Like, so I remember running through the house, like after I watched like VH1 had a whole like series on him and like played his music videos nonstop. I don't know why, but I was like, oh, okay, this guy is killing it.
Love
like,
it.
And then I run to my dad. I'm like, hey, do we have any Michael Jackson in the house? Like anything Michael Jackson in the house? And he goes through like his like CD collection, because my dad was like big music collector, just had like records and CDs. Goes through CDs and I'm like, do you have Thriller? Do you have Thriller?
That's so cute.
He's like, I don't have Thriller, but I have his next album called Bad.
Oh.
And then I was like, okay. And I played the hell out of that album. I mean, and that's when I first fell in love with credits.
Okay.
So going through like, for the people that lived in the 90s, they remember this, but for you new people, they used to have booklets and CDs, and you could pull the credits out, and you could see who wrote the songs, where it was recorded, who engineered, and it had the lyrics.
Yeah.
My first thing was like, what are the lyrics to these songs that I'm singing?
Yeah.
You know, these great melodies with.
Yeah.
And then I started like finding out the names of people, like who's this other drummer, where's Burbank, California?
Oh my God, yes.
Like,
and now we're right next to it, and you live there.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But going back, Michael Jackson, everything, that Motown sound, just his pop music, it was everything. It was everything. I felt like it was the complete artist. It was the complete, like, what the entertainment and the music business was and is today.
So we talked about what you listened to growing up, but what about now?
I listen to a wide range of different genres.
I know that because sometimes you say people and I'm like, who?
Yeah. I gravitate more towards like the music I was growing up to. So like R&B, hip hop, funk, and pop. So today I'm listening to I'm going back. It's funny. I'm going back to a lot of things that I fell in love with. Because I believe history repeats itself. I feel like
yes.
Music, especially music trends.
Nothing
fashion.
is irrelevant. Let me just say that.
Okay.
I don't think that in music and art there's anything that's irrelevant. And if people tried to tell me something was irrelevant, I'd be like, absolutely not. Like, this doesn't even make sense to me, because it's like either we draw inspiration from it, or when you say something is, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. That's still relevant. Right. Because it's like, I know that my ear doesn't like that.
Right.
And so when people say that songs are, too old to be relevant, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Like, the song could be new to you. That's a new song as far as I'm concerned.
Dude.
But that's just how I feel.
Nah. That's like when I first discovered the Bee Gees.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember I thought they were like out. I thought this was music that came out in the late 90s when I heard some of their songs.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait, this is from like the 70s?
Yes.
And
you could say the same thing but in reverse, about there's actually a band, I can't think of their name right now, but also something like, maybe Daft Punk or something.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, like I wouldn't really know what time period they may have been from.
Nah,
do you know what I mean? There are definitely
sure.
some sounds where you're just like, that could transcend so many different.
Dude, there's another band, Portishead.
Yeah, Portishead. Oh my God.
Portishead was so like light years ahead of what they were doing in the 90s.
100%.
And that's kind of what I listen to today. I like music that kind of transcends the era that the music was created in.
Yeah.
I love Timbaland. Like, so if you ask me who one of my favorite producers, it would be Timbaland, because the music that he created in the mid 90s still holds up today and is still being played in clubs and when
Yeah.
we go out shopping.
Absolutely.
And it still feels fresh.
Yeah.
It still feels like current.
Yeah. Fresh is a word I have no problem with.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it still feels like, and it's crazy to see as a creative to know that you're creating something in this moment in time that's going to outlive you.
Oh God. It's one of the things that keeps me making music. Cause I'm like, I would love to have a song that did so well that somebody could live off of those royalties someday. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, absolutely.
What a way to just impart, part of yourself onto the world and make it a slightly better place.
I think about like the Temptations.
Yeah.
Right? Like those guys in Detroit coming together and like just practicing harmonies, practicing dance steps to then being signed by Motown to then touring all around the world and then like birthing these songs that people put on this pedestal.
Yeah.
Like how many times have we heard My Girl?
Oh my God.
And how many renditions
and I'm still
of My
not
Girl?
sick of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think those moments with music, like they mean so much. Like they're in a category of their own. Like, so that's what I'm listening to today. Just like music that feels like you can play no matter how old or how young you want to be in that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense.
I love that. I mean, on that note, I feel like music is like a time machine,
For sure.
It can take you back to the best moments of your life. It can take you back to the worst moments of your life. And I mean, that's how powerful it is,
Agreed.
I don't know if you guys can tell this, but this is definitely, I'm using this platform as a way to plug my own things too.
If I can cut you off and
Sure.
plug for you.
Thank you.
If you haven't already,
Oh gosh.
you should check out, but number one, Raised on Porn by Madeline Rosene. Amazing project that I had the opportunity to engineer on and produce one record called Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Fire, amazing CD.
And wrote some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I still love that project to this day. And then your second project that I always butcher the name, so I'm gonna.
It's okay. Everyday Existential Crisis.
Thank you.
It's funny. It's like really hard for some people to say that word.
It's
a long one.
It's the E's.
Yeah,
That's
is.
what trips you up.
Oh yeah, like with the everyday before it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not easy to say. I probably should have thought about that. So yeah, what I was gonna say was that Dante and I have some music coming up, and I'm going to announce my new album that I'm working on, and it's called Love and Algorithms.
Fire name.
And thank you. And algorithm is going to be spelled like rhythm, like music.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point, well, actually, I'm actually curious to know what you think the theme of this album is to me and why I chose that name. Quiz.
Oh, see, but I kind of already know this. So, yeah, we're friends in real life outside of this music stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of know, where you draw inspiration from. But what I believe you're thinking behind that title, you were on social media a lot.
Mm-hmm. I am.
A lot of talks of AI.
Yes.
And people manufacturing feelings and the idea of what love is.
Yes.
Am I close? Am I warm?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think it's so many things like that. It's that, and it's also like when I think about what an algorithm does, it's trying to get to know us.
True.
It's a program that's trying to get to know us, and that's scary to me because it's like sometimes I think the algorithm knows me better than some of my friends do.
You know, they some people believe the algorithm has already created like a AI version of ourselves,
Oh.
and that's how they guess what we're going to like.
I mean,
and what we're
that's
going to
not even
scroll
like a
past.
conspiracy. That's absolutely accurate.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, it's not like it's like some robot roaming around or something.
Right,
but
right.
data is that powerful, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, part of who we are is what we search, what we engage
Facts.
with, what we like, what we don't like. And I mean, those are pretty big facets of our personality, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that is spot on. So, and then, yeah, can we just talk briefly about the songs we're working on?
Absolutely. They are still, they're still
Early.
Still early.
Yeah.
In the early stages.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't like, here, I'll let the world know this. I like finishing, right?
Yes.
I like completion of a project.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like showing people my playbook before the game starts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it and it's funny because everything's like BTS, right?
Yeah.
Everything's BTS right now.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with like letting people in on the creation of things.
See what they think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then giving people, because people draw these ideas of what songs are going to be. Let's just talk about songs, not even just ideas or content. Let's just talk about songs. When you send a preview of a song, this is for all the artists, like just so you guys know this, people are judging that song off of that preview. No matter how many changes you fucking make, no matter how good you mix and master it, and how many instruments you add onto it later, and how many revisions, people are only going to go off of that first impression.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I know my work, right? I know what I offer, what I bring to the table creatively. And if you're going to hear something that my name's attached to it, like, I want it to be the best version of what I can do.
Yeah.
Like, for the relationships that I have built in music, I love, like, if an artist says, like, yeah, can you send me what we've done today, and it's just the rough version, I'll keep it real. Yeah, I'll send that. But it's not anything that I'm going to go and post later because I know, like, it's not even halfway where I know I'm going to take this shit.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what we've lost in music making in this day and age, where
we have to be putting things out constantly. So that's what people have kind of resorted to now too.
There's no like nurturing aspect into the music anymore, right? Like, there used to be, and I once again respect the artists that are like writing songs within half an hour and like 45 minutes. Like, that's what's up. Like, and because I have moments like that where it flows, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But nah, I rather artists work on it today, right? Come back to that in maybe 3 to 4 days, because I guarantee you're going to hear something that you didn't hear in day one.
Oh gosh. I mean, I have tracks that have been out for years now, and I'm like singing these harmonies with them being like, I wish I had put that harmony in there.
Right. And I never want to be at that spot with my music.
Yeah.
Like, once again, I want to feel like I'm leaving everything on that track that I have to offer and give creatively in my like ideas. Like, it has to be that way, because going back to what I initially said, it has to be honest, man. Like, that's a part of the honesty. Like, if you know you're just giving people a preview.
Yeah.
So you can keep their attention, because you're afraid if you don't drop for a month or 2 months, you're going to lose all these people. And say that you actually fucking do.
Yeah.
Right? Were you supposed to have them in the first fucking place?
No.
Like,
yeah.
It's like,
true.
And once again, respect the artists that are dropping consistently, because I love you, because you guys make me work harder at the end of the day. I'm not
That's true.
knocking it.
Yeah.
But if your motivation is solely so I can stay in the algorithm, so I can keep the eyes on me, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because real musicians, real artists, real creatives are going to hear your work or see your work and be like, nah, that's fake as shit.
Yeah. Or it's incomplete as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing on that note, this is it. What advice do you have for artists besides that?
Don't be afraid to speak up. That means even if you're going against the grain, you're going against everybody in the room.
In the studio, you think, or anywhere?
Anywhere.
Got you.
Don't be afraid to speak up, because like you're gonna hate yourself later that day, later that night if you don't.
Yeah, and I also think, like, you know, if you think nobody's going to agree with you, that's not true. There's going to be people that agree with you, whatever it is.
That part.
Yeah.
And like, don't, as the kids are saying right now, like, don't be afraid to stand on business. And that means like, make sure that you are seeing yourself as a business. You know what I mean? Whatever you're offering creatively, like, you're a business, right?
Yeah.
You're an artist, but then know that this can be the reason you're quitting your 9 to 5.
Yes.
So when you're doing it, you better treat it as such.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a whole list I could give
Yeah,
like
I love
artists,
this,
but
yeah. But you'll
those
have
are
to
the two
watch the
things.
next episode to find out. Just
Absolutely.
kidding. But yeah, thank you so much, Dante.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, Madeline. New music on the motherfucking way.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get it.